Imagine being called by God to unconditionally love someone who repeatedly breaks your heart, someone whose infidelity is public and painful. It seems like an unbearable trial, doesn't it? This is the true story of the prophet Hosea, whose life became a living parable of the stubborn love and the piercing sorrow of God for his people, Israel. Prepare for an intense narrative about betrayal, repentance, and a love that defies all human logic. In the turbulent days of the last kings of Israel, a period marked by rampant idolatry, questionable political alliances, and a growing spiritual decay, God raised his voice through courageous prophets. Among them was Hosea, whose message would resonate with a personal and painful intensity. The word of the Lord came to Hosea, the son of Beri, with a shocking and unexpected command. Go, take to yourself a wife of harlotry, and have children of harlotry, for the land commits great harlotry by forsaking the Lord. This divine order was not a suggestion or a piece of advice. It was a direct commandment laden with symbolic meaning. God was instructing Hosea to marry a woman named Gomer, whose reputation or future involvement in prostitution was known to God. This marriage, at first glance incomprehensible and even repulsive by the social standards of the time, would be the centerpiece of a living prophetic message, a visceral representation of the relationship between God and Israel. Hosea, obedient to the divine voice, took Gomer as his wife. They had 3 children, and the names God instructed Hosea to give them were, in themselves, prophecies in miniature, portraying the spiritual condition and future judgment of Israel. The first son was named Jezreel, a name that recalled a place of massacre and foreshadowed the judgment of the dynasty of Jehu. The second was a daughter named Lo-Ruhamah, meaning she has not received mercy or not loved, indicating the temporary withdrawal of God's love and mercy from Israel. The third son was named Lo-Ami, which means not my people, signaling the rupture of the covenant between God and the nation because of their infidelity. While Hosea fulfilled his painful family mission, Israel followed a path of increasing apostasy. They turned away from the God who had delivered them from Egypt, seeking the worship of Canaanite idols, engaging in empty ritualistic practices, and trusting in fragile political alliances with pagan nations instead of relying on their God. Their spiritual infidelity was compared to the breaking of a marriage, a painful betrayal of the love and faithfulness that God had repeatedly shown them. Hosea's personal life inevitably became a reflection of this infidelity. Gomer, his wife, proved unfaithful to their marriage covenant. Although the narrative does not provide all the details, it is understood that she engaged in prostitution, seeking other lovers and perhaps seeking satisfaction or security outside of her commitment to Hosea. Hosea's pain must have been deep and personal, a mirror of the pain God felt over the infidelity of his people. He experienced in his own flesh the agony of betrayal and rejection. However, God's response, and by extension, the response he expected from Hosea, was not one of final abandonment and relentless revenge. Instead, God instructed Hosea to do something even more shocking, to love Gomer even in her unfaithfulness, to seek her out and restore her. And the Lord said to me, "Go again, love a woman who is loved by another man and is an adulteress, even as the Lord loves the children of Israel, though they turn to other gods and love cakes of raisins." This commandment reveals the unfathomable depth of God's love. Despite Israel's repeated breaking of the covenant, despite their pursuit of spiritual other lovers, idols, and pagan practices, God's heart yearned for their restoration. Divine love was not conditional on human perfection or faithfulness. It was persistent, sacrificial, and determined to mend the broken relationship. The command for Hosea to love an adulterous wife is one of the most radical depictions of God's unconditional love found in the Scriptures. Reflect on the depth of this love that persists despite our unfaithfulness. If this message resonates in your heart, consider leaving a like and sharing this video. We also invite you to meditate. In what areas of your life do you feel the need for this unshakable love from God? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hosea obeyed again. He sought out Gomer and redeemed her, paying a price for her, as if rescuing her from slavery. The amount paid, 15 shekels of silver and a homer and a half of barley, was the price of a common slave, symbolizing Israel's condition as captive to its own sins and divine justice. Upon bringing her back home, Hosea placed her in a period of probation, of separation from her lovers, so that she might recognize her true husband and the depth of his love. And I said to her, "You must dwell as mine for many days. You shall not play the harlot, or belong to another man. So will I also be to you." This restoration of Gomer by Hosea was a living prophecy of the future restoration of Israel by God. After the period of judgment and exile, God promised to bring his people back to their land, renew his covenant, and pour out his love and grace upon them. The names of the children, which were initially symbols of judgment and separation, would be transformed into promises of restoration. Lo Ruhamah, not loved, would become Ruhamah, loved, and Lo Ami, not my people, would become Ami, my people. The book of Hosea is filled with powerful images and vivid metaphors that illustrate the passionate and painful relationship between God and Israel. God is portrayed as a zealous husband, a loving father who suffers from the rebellion of his children, a shepherd who seeks his lost sheep. Israel is presented as an unfaithful wife, a degenerate vine, a prodigal son who strays from home. The central message of the book is the depth and persistence of God's love, a love that does not give up despite human infidelity. Divine judgment is presented not as an end in itself, but as a means to bring about repentance and restoration. God yearns for the return of his people, offering forgiveness and renewal to those who turn to him with a contrite heart. Come, let us return to the Lord, for he has torn us, that he may heal us. He has struck us down, and he will bind us up. The book concludes with an exhortation to repentance and with the promise of abundant blessings for those who acknowledge their ways and turn to the Lord. The story of Hosea and Gomer, though shocking and disconcerting, serves as an eternal reminder of the patient, merciful, and unshakable nature of God's love, a love that extends even to the most unfaithful and lost. It is a message of hope that resonates through the centuries, inviting each of us to experience the depth of this love that will not let us go. The story of Hosea confronts us with the reality of our own straying from God and points us to the ever-open door of repentance and restoration. If you are moved by this account of divine love, we invite you to subscribe to the channel to explore the scriptures more deeply and to join a community that seeks the truth and grace of God. Don't forget to activate the notification bell to be alerted to new studies and reflections. May the depth of God's love revealed in Hosea touch your heart.